Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HKU Summer Leadership Forum, organized by the Faculty of Business and Economics. I'm Hongbin, Dean of Faculty of Business Economics. Today, the topic we're going to discussing is leadership in a fast-changing business world. Very timely, very interesting topic, and more importantly, we're very delighted to have 5 outstanding young alumni from the Faculty of Business Economics. So before we get the discussion going, I would like to ask all the 5 panel speakers to introduce themselves a little bit. Who wants to start?
Sure. Let me go first.
All right, very good. The youngest goes first.
Hi, everyone. This is Natalie. I graduated last year with a BBA degree majoring in finance, and I'm currently working at Citi as a private banking analyst. So since the analyst program here is a 2-year rotation program, I got to have the exposure across 4 different divisions in the bank. I started off in the investments department, focusing on fixed income and credit products. And I'm currently at the margin and security-backed financing, dealing with credit facility structuring, as well as lending against different assets, including stocks, bonds, and funds. I believe my past 4 years of college experience at HKU, ranging from case competitions, academic programs at Stanford and Peking University, internships in Shanghai, exchange in Canada, and community service in Mexico, have all equipped me with the global perspective that are beneficial to my career. So outside of school, I also enjoy playing table tennis. Just now, the photos on the slideshow, it's me actually playing table tennis at the national championships in Texas. So I would be very happy to share more on how my wonderful memories and experience have shaped my personal and career development.
Excellent. Who wants to go next?
Okay, I will go next then, if according to year. Okay, I'm Rachel. I'm currently working at the VB Innovative Products Department of Tencent. And one of my fun fact right now is I'm actually a Malaysian. So actually my department is mainly working on the products, business, and the strategic development of the virtual bank, which is established by Tencent and other partners. And I'm working on some like the Tencent Finance Academy collaboration with some universities, and also on the overseas banking projects. Yeah, so actually my 4 years in HKU and my involvement in some in the case competition and participation in the extra co-curriculum activities really helps me a lot in how to adapt well to like the culture of others, especially Hong Kong people as a non-local, and how to really work well with them, communicate well with them. Yeah, so I think that it's really beneficial for me as a non-local to get to involve in different activities in order so that currently my career, I can really work well with others, actually mainland people and Hong Kong people as well.
Thank you, Rachel. Who's next?
Sure, I can go next.
Okay, good.
Sure, so hello everyone there. My name is Stephen Zung, a graduate from BBA Accounting and Finance, class of 2017. So my current role is an analyst role in Goldman Sachs in a team of alternative capital market. I have joined the firm for 3 years, and my team actually specializes in alternative investments, which includes private equities, hedge funds, and co-investments. So as you can see here on the slide, you can see some of my work moments with my colleagues. So I would say that Hong Kong U has provided a great platform for me to nurture my financial skills as well as my interpersonal skills. During my time in Hong Kong U, I have joined the Business and Economics Association, the BEA. As a PR, I founded a social enterprise. I've luckily enough to won the Hong Kong stock competition, which I gained knowledge from learning from the stock analyst classes, as well as I joined several case competitions. Currently, I'm honored to serve in the FBE alumni community. So outside work, I enjoy studying stocks and playing poker games.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Who's next?
I will go next and then leave Jimmy the honor to conclude the introduction part. Well, everyone, thank you for inviting me. I'm Louisa, BBA A&F, class of 2014. I'm currently working at Bank of America Corporate Banking. It's my 6th year in the bank and still my first job. I just returned from my secondment in London. Well, corporate bankers, in a nutshell, are the relationship managers for corporates to meet their needs across all banking products. And today, it's a great honor to be back to my alma mater, My 3 years in Hong Kong U FBE has played a significant role in shaping who I am today. I appreciate all the resources FBE has across case competitions, exchange, AIP program, China study tours, which have given me a global perspective, analytical and problem-solving skills, and an open mind. It well sets the path for my career choices, including joining a global bank, joining the bank's global mobility program, and coming back right into the current business environment with hope, of course, and challenges well accepted. As I ended the video with the Wall Street Bull taken when I first started my job, today I'd like to pass the same wishes to you. And again, great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Louisa. Now, Jimmy, you are the last.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jimmy from OnGrad. I graduated from BBA International Business and Global Management in 2014. After graduation, I worked in New Road Development, a local property developer, as a management trainee. Later, I'm promoted as the assistant manager in digital marketing, acting as the internal digital consultant for the company. And 2 years ago, I started my own company called OnGrad to provide career learning resources for university students and provide recruitment services for corporates. So I'm currently still living in St. John's College as a senior tutor, and my interests include dragon boating, bridge, and also drama.
Excellent. Thank you all very much for the self-introduction. Not only you're all doing great, but it also looks like you all had a lot of fun during college. So that's something I think will be interesting to know for all the possible high school kids looking at universities. And so let's get our discussion going. So the topic we are going to discuss today is leadership in a fast-changing business world. So let's first pin down the change. The first thing we obviously everyone is aware of is the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. I want to get some personal touch on the change part. So I want to ask every one of you what the critical change elements you experienced since the pandemic coronavirus. Obviously, we're having this forum in this format. It's one of the obvious changes as we're doing the virtual forums, we're doing virtual meetings, and then we all now, most of us working at home now. But any other things you want to highlight? Any other change that since the last few months you experienced or you feel this is important? Who wants to start? Should we go with the same order?
Sure, Professor. Perhaps I can focus on how COVID-19 actually impact the finance and banking industry in general. So I believe from my personal view, overall speaking, the industry is definitely impacted, but not as severe in comparison with other industries such as F&B, retail services, or hospitality. So perhaps I shall further elaborate that on more perspectives. First, I believe from the employment level, which I believe our target audience and our graduates are mostly concerned about. Certainly, we can see headcount being frozen and some financial institutions either stop their empty recruiting process or trying to reduce the number of return offers given. But also, we can also see that most prestigious banks have actually promised not to lay off their employees this year. So in short, I believe the job market is still going to be very challenging, especially for graduates. But if they can try to utilize their spare time and try to equip themselves with the skills that can bring value to their dream employer, then I believe there's still a great chance for them to achieve what they want. And secondly, in terms of investments, I would say global M&A activity definitely has tumbled to its lowest level in the decade. And in light of the second wave of the virus, as well as the China-US trade war, I can see that institutional investors like our clients have become more cautious. So instead of being more speculative, they now try to look for more long-term income-generating opportunities and investments, such as private equity funds or hedge funds. But of course, the government and central bank is also boosting liquidity to help restore investors' confidence. So lastly, I think from the compliance level, we can definitely see a more tightened risk control and compliance, especially after the massive sell-off in March, internally in banks or externally from SFC and HKMA. So I believe graduates can also consider the impact across front, middle, and back office. And for me personally, I have been working from home for almost 4 months. So definitely that's the new normal for me. And I would say that has actually challenged me. And I think effective communication skills have even become more important because face-to-face meetup becomes less possible and we have to find any other possible ways to approach our client. So I guess Rachel can perhaps talk more about on how the COVID-19 impact the IT industry.
Yeah, sure. Because I'm currently working at Tencent, a technology company, and also I'm actually working on some stuff related to virtual banks. So I think I would talk more about on the impact of COVID-19 on these two industry. So for the technology industry, actually, I think the most frequent term that we listen right now during this pandemic is that crisis create opportunities. So actually some will look at it as a crisis, but it really drives the digitalization of several different industry and really force some traditional companies to recognize the importance of having these mobile working equipments. So we also can see how the app we are using right now, Zoom, really gain high attention for after this crisis. And also for Tencent, it really drive the globalization of the Tencent product, such as we have an international version of Tencent Meeting. This is also one of the opportunities for us to further expand. And for the virtual bank part, actually, all 8 virtual banks should have launched last year, but also due to this pandemic, they also delay their launch process. But at the same time, some government initiative also helped them to gain more attention, such as the distribution of for 10,000 Hong Kong dollar to all Hong Kong citizens. This is also one of the opportunity for virtual banks to really use this chance to let people to use their application and other stuff. So and personally, actually, I think I stay in Malaysia the longest time this year. I stay in Malaysia for around 1 month during Chinese New Year, and because of the work from home arrangement. But right now, actually, I'm having some shift right now, so I'm working Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at office, and also Tuesday and Thursday at home. Yeah, I think this is a biggest impact to me. And also, I travel less to Shenzhen. I used to travel more to Shenzhen twice a week before the pandemic happens. Yeah.
Good, thanks. And so a quick summary by Natalie and Rachel on the banking side, and then the tech side, especially virtual bank. Now, who wants to go next?
I can go next. I worked in the recruitment sector, and I would say from most of our companies that we're working with, they have frozen their headcounts, as also Natalie mentioned. Either they delayed their recruitment process, or even they even retrieve the offer, and even the students got their offer and could not manage to get into the company. We see definitely declined business, especially in business referring related to retail and also marketing. These sectors are most affected by COVID-19. On the student side, a lot of students are quite anxious about the current job market. They would ask to be should I consider taking a master's degree, or should I continue to look for jobs, or looking for jobs that are not as prominent as before. So we're also receiving some inquiries about how to shine in video CVs and also interviews with robots, because in the past we have a lot of human touch interviews, but now they're interviewing a robot. Maybe they have some kind of artificial intelligence rating their video performance. So we did a lot of trainings about that. In terms of my personal life, I personally actually quite enjoyed from social distancing, because I found I have more time working on my own stuff. I learned new language. I can have time to do my own stuff. But after months, I feel like I started to miss my friends, and I hope that someday we can really see each other face to face.
Don't eat too often. All right. So very good. Thanks. And then who want to do next?
Probably just very quick points from my side. I definitely echo the digitalization of the companies. And then, for example, all the retailers in UK, only Marks and Spencer, it was doing really bad compared to the peers. It was really close to bankruptcy because it doesn't have an online channel at all. And then even here in Hong Kong, it's very interesting to see. I was actually surprised to see the COVID finally moved the e-commerce in Hong Kong forward a little bit. And then all the top companies, like tech companies, they have purchased 21 billion like cloud servers so far this year. And then definitely moving online, or this COVID really pushes technology forward. And then it's definitely a trend that we should consider. And then for me, I'm not expert for shopping online, but thanks to COVID, I'm now getting to it.
That's why those stocks are all going up now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good. Are we? Who haven't said anything? Yeah, Stephen, right? Yeah.
So I can add a few quick points based on what everyone has mentioned. Totally agree with Louisa. So actually, I can share a little bit more about, like, from the student perspective, like how they can actually think about the situation. I've recently read a quote saying that in the situation of crisis or economic downturn, it's basically the best opportunity if you want to think about a new idea or you want to create a new business. So my friends, similar to my age, maybe they have, like, and during the COVID period, they have started their own trading business. Some of my friends who are doing startups, they're e-commerce, doing mobile app gaming. They actually, like, have a lot of audience increase in 3 months. Like, their audience base actually increased by like 150%. So what I'm saying here is I think it's a great opportunity with a lot of different uncertainties for sure, but it's actually opened doors for new opportunities that students and young people, even like working people, can actually consider.
Excellent point. Thank you all very much for sharing all this. This is, I think this is very useful for our discussion to follow. The quite a few different aspects of changes we you guys mentioned, right? The first, obviously, we focus on the impacts of pandemic. Lots of businesses, lot of sectors are totally disrupted, as we know, from retail, restaurants, to tourist industry, to culture, to travel. So many companies in Hong Kong or in everywhere else, some even very well-established companies having serious difficulties, or some even go down to the bankruptcy procedures. So the business landscape has been totally changed by this pandemic crisis across the world. And this is one big part of the changes we see in the business world. But there are others, some of you already touched upon this. One is that the global economy has been having this globalization trends over the last 30, 40 years, especially in the last 20, 15 years. But now, since the last 5 years or so, this trend become facing a lot of challenges. So there's called deglobalization or even anti-globalization trend. And this recent highlights, of course, is the ongoing US-China trade disputes, but there are other elements of that. And then the pandemic doesn't help this. The pandemic makes this even worse in terms of globalization. So the global economy is probably facing a lot of changes and restructuring. So that's a second element, second big changes we see in the business world now. And the third, also, I think we, some of you, quite a few of you already touched on, which is the technology progress, technology revolution, digitalization, e-commerce, AI, biotech, automations. Jimmy even talked about interview by robots, right? This is, you know, how fast technology gets into reshape the business landscape. So with all these major changes, short-term, long-term, fundamental shifts, and then all these changes also connect with each other, intertwined with each other. So make the whole business world very complex, very, lots of uncertainties. I'm sure many of you heard this phrase more often now, what's called the VUCA, V as volatility, C as U as uncertainty, C as complexity, and A as ambiguity. So these four words, these four characters, really capture what's happening in the fast-changing business world. So now now we want to talk about, hear what you think about, given this new sort of business world, new environment we're in, what kind of new business leadership features that you think are very important in this new environment? As we all hear, leadership is critical in the business world, and this can include many different things. But in this new reality, new business world, what are the more important features of leadership that you think are important for the success in this new business world? Who wants to? So maybe we'll still continue with the order we have. Natalia, you want to start first?
Sure, Professor. So for me, I think one of the most essential leadership elements would be adaptive to changes and developing a great sense of resilience, especially during this time of uncertainty. So I guess from a macro level, as I think everyone has mentioned just now, that computer, big data, and other cutting-edge technologies have actually replaced human beings in every sector of the economy. Say banking, for example, I did some research beforehand, and I found out that the demand for traders in fixed income, equities, as well as investment banking have actually dropped by 20% over the past 5 years. And because of the growing use of artificial intelligence. And to be honest, some of the hottest jobs in the next few decades probably have not existed yet. So simply think, who would have imagined that, big data scientists or analytics jobs would be such a prestigious or important role in society. So I believe as a leader, it's important to ponder the unthinkable and try to prepare ourselves, the skill sets to prepare for the next career trend. And from the current job context, I would see, there are a lot of new regulations coming up from either, SFC or HKMA. And I believe as a leader, we should also stay vigilant and be constantly aware of the changes so that we students as future leaders can be more comfortable in motivating our followers towards the same common goal.
Very good, thank you. So adaptive, being ability to be adaptive in this fast new changing world, this is very critical according to Natalia. As we shared about your experience in this new new changes, some of the things you already mentioned actually also relate to adaptive. So Jimmy said, given that we are locked down here at home, you're actually doing things that you wouldn't planning to do, but they're actually quite positive. Stephen mentioned the example of, in this new environment, some of his friends actually start a new business and then take advantage of the new opportunities. And this is all like adaptive to the new situation and turning the negative into positive. And this is becoming increasingly important feature of the leadership that our new time calls for and greatly needs. So very good. So let's move to the next one. I think Stephen, you want to add to to that?
Yeah, sure. So I think in complement of what Natalie has mentioned, I think that adaptive changes and lifelong learning actually comes hand in hand together. Mm-hmm. So what I believe lifelong learning is that the more you learn, there are more access in your pocket that it will actually help you to succeed one day, mm-hmm. that you might need these kind of access in your back pocket. So I can share 2 examples. So when I was in university, I took the initiative to self-learn on topics such as trade finance, such as, for example, letter of credit or bank guarantee, which I find very helpful in situations like right now that my friends ask me, oh, what can they do about their commodity trading business or shipment business, for example. So maybe I can, at this kind of like time, I can tell them about like, what I learned from trade finance. Second example that I self-taught myself is that, or maybe I self-improved myself would be, I go into Tsinghua University for a part-time course, which I built my knowledge and connections there. I think self-learning and lifelong learning is about like improving yourself, building up like more knowledge and constantly like gaining new knowledge that is adaptive to the current environment.
Very good, very good. So lifelong learning becomes even increasingly more important. And this is pretty obvious to conclusion, pretty obvious to reach, but it would not be so easy to practice. But I'm very glad that, you know, at this young age, you already realize the importance of lifelong learning. In the old time, you learn some skills, and the skills may be valuable, and you probably can live on the skill for your life. So the need for lifelong learning may not be as great in the past as now. As we already discussed, the business world has been and is going to change very fast. And new things will come up, the old things, or some of the old things will get updated, out of dated, and then they will be going out. If you're not keeping up, or if you're not even trying to stay up front, then you will be left behind, and then you will lose your competitiveness in the market. So lifelong learning will be increasingly important for leaders, for leadership in the new changed business world. So now let's go down to Louisa. Louisa, you want to share some of your thoughts?
Sure, Dean Tsai. I'd like to add two things. Teamwork and building network. So no matter how strong a leader you are, you can never win by fighting alone, especially when the market is not at its best. So you need a team, and sometimes the more diverse, the better, for brainstorming ideas and solutions, more resources and high efficiency. And then along the way, keep bringing people on your side. In other words, to achieve buy-in from stakeholders, to clear roadblocks. I believe even for the smartest brain in the world, they probably still have people as a sounding board to validate their ideas. So I think that the audience here probably could ask Dean Tsai to validate this point. Well, I think the reason I mentioned teamwork is this is essential to the way corporate banking works. Even though we're at the front line facing clients, we cannot close deals alone. We're the generalist with general knowledge of banking products to answer the question, what may suit the client? And we need to turn to our product sales and specialists for the nitty-gritty details of the product for our client, and further rely on implementation team, operations, and various functions to deliver the solution. It's a complete teamwork. And the panel here know I got caught in a fire drill recently. When things like this happen, the first thing comes to my mind is who are the stakeholders, who can help, and what are my resources, instead of working on it by myself right away. And these are the lessons learned from my previous experiences managing these situations. The other element is building networks. And the earlier you start doing it, the easier it will be, and a better net you will weave. Along the years, you will meet so many people. And then I hope, I urge everybody to get to know them, because there will be people you can trust, people with ideas, information, knowledge, and people who you can turn to for help, people who can cheer you up, people who can sponsor you in your career, and people who can guide you in your important choices. And the first step to build your network is to be proactive. I think a simple sign for a leader is the one who initiates a catch-up. Earlier stage of career is our best position to reach out to people and request for coffee catch-up. It would be so uncool for people to turn down such a request, and people have all been in our positions before. Another mandate of my secondment in UK is to meet people and extend my network. From people I met in London, I benefited a lot from their guidance and advice for me to navigate in the organization, fit into a new team, and get embedded into the business. The second part of the building network is to keep in touch. In other words, maintain your network. One way I find to keep in touch with my UK colleagues is to exchange perspectives. They recently shared with me updates on Brexit and the UK-EU trade negotiations, and I shared with them updates in Hong Kong and then US-China trade war. And we're hoping to see if we would come across some joint deals together one day down the road. And I know I'm supposed to share my personal experience here. However, I think the Discovery Channel reality show, Undercover Billionaire, proves the point better than me. So it tells the story of entrepreneur Glenn Stearns, who hid his identity and built $1 million business from scratch in 90 days. And he only started all this by leveraging the first person he met. So every contact point counts, and how you manage your network matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is just excellent points. Also with very useful tips how to be proactive, especially when you start your career, how to be proactive, building up the network, be getting the other people to help and support you. Very, very good points. Lastly, I want to turn to Jimmy, and then Jimmy, do you have anything else to add?
I want to say that entrepreneurial mindset is really important. Having an entrepreneurial mindset doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur, but it's a thinking that you need to think like a management. So treating your work as your own company. So when I was working in New Road, I always would share my own personal view to my boss, so that they would know that, oh, you really think from the company side. For example, when you are having some kind of a challenge like business decline during the COVID-19, it's very easy for us to think of yourself first. Oh, so you might be afraid that you might lose your job. You might think that you have to take care of the family. But it's really important, if you want to be a leader, you need to keep calm and also analyze and propose any solutions that are useful for the company. And I always believe that in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. So it's really important for you to stay ahead and think of and identify these opportunities ahead instead of over worrying the consequences. And also we need to embrace the changes and also the uncertainties by lifelong learning. We always have to learn, like, how are our competitors doing? How are the other countries or companies are coping with the challenge, so that we can take out the best practice and react as the best. And also it's really important for you as an entrepreneur is to take responsibility, because you always need to take responsibility and really embrace and willing to take charge, so that you will be a successful leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing. So Jimmy emphasized entrepreneurship spirit. Entrepreneurship spirit is not only just being an entrepreneur. You have to be a startup. It's actually for everybody, no matter you're working in a bank, in a Tencent, in other companies. This entrepreneurship spirit or the mindset will be very important for any leader in this new business world where changes are constant. So Jimmy emphasized the entrepreneurship. Let me just quickly summarize. This is a great list you guys come up with. So the one is that in a fast-changing business world, where we said the VUCA is a constant sort of environment features, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. It's important for business leaders to be adaptive to new changes, adaptive to anticipate changes, and then adaptive to changes, and then try to make any negative, turning negatives into positive. And the second thing is that the successful leader in this new environment has to have lifetime learning habits. Things always changing, knowledge is always updated, new trends always coming up, and then you have to keep updated. You have to keep front. So lifetime learning is critical. And the third thing you guys come up with is the teamwork and network. In a big storm, you cannot row to the safety by yourself. You have to rely on others. You have to need help from many people. So you have to take advantage of your people around you. Take advantage of the resources, knowledge, and skills, and then even tips that other people who can offer to you. So this building a teamwork, collective skills to work with other people, and also being proactive in building your own network, that will be very important for business leaders in this new environment. And lastly, Jimmy emphasized new leaders, no matter where you work, needs to have this entrepreneurship spirit, right? Nothing is set, nothing is fixed, and you have to be entrepreneurial in coming up with new solutions to new challenges. So this is a great list for leadership skills in this new environment. Now let me turn to related topic, which is, as we said early on, the especially since after the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, anti-globalization trend becomes even more visible or even more relevant in the new business world. And this is already started a few years back and then was highlighted by the US-China trade war. But overall, this anti-globalization gets much stronger since the pandemic. So as you all know, as students from the Faculty of Business Economics, business education has been emphasizing global perspectives. And this all seemed to be so natural in the past when globalization seems to be the dominant trend, and then people just assume this will go on forever. So the whole world will be a flat, even playing field, and then everyone has to be a global citizen. But now situation has changed. And obviously, we're not seeing that the world will be tomorrow will be totally flat, even playing fields. And the question then I'm having for you guys is, do you still think global perspective it's important in the new business world? Will global perspective will still be important for a successful leader in this changed global landscape of global economy? So now I want to come to Louisa. Can you share your thoughts on this?
Sure, Dean. I think the short answer is yes. And then first of all, my 2 cents are business leaders do need to have global perspectives for their business to better survive current environment. In my humble opinion, the deglobalization is probably not the right move for companies as a strategy, as we know the direct impact of COVID-19 is to the mobility of people and goods, thus disruption to companies with global supply chain. I would think instead of retreating from globalization, COVID-19 is a sign for companies to up their game when doing a global business. Instead of having pieces of their business in different countries to achieve most cost benefits and efficiency, companies should better strategize their international footprint to benefit from a more diverse business globally, which helps them to weather through the crisis along the way. For example, in our client portfolios, we've seen many companies better surviving thanks to their more internationally diversified sales. So a sudden outbreak in a certain country, they won't be that vulnerable to it. And then other companies with factories across the world are using China capacity to support European demand by leveraging the different stage of recovery across the countries. So if you aim to be a senior management of a company one day, I think global perspective is the key for you to come up with the right strategy. And then we better start having that from today. And secondly, global perspectives add value to people around you, which positions you as a natural leader and a trusted advisor. Though goods and people cannot move, as we talked about earlier, information is exploding. And the market update emails I received in the past 4 months is probably more than those I received in 2019 full year. Everybody, including my colleagues, my clients, are craving for information. what's happening, how does it impact my business, how does it impact my client, what are the best practices other companies are doing or in other countries. And then our clients really appreciate people who can understand and then explain the situation or these questions to them. During my last 4 months in UK, I was constantly asked to lead the market update for China, as we're doing the credit modeling and forecast for UK companies. And people try to use China as their recovery model. And then these perspective exchange, it's also a main reason for my secondment. I learned a lot about UK and European market, their company funding strategies, what are their treasury priorities and their hedging policies. And then the best part is you definitely learn more about best practices in a market downturn compared to a bull market. And thanks to the pandemic, I learned a lot about how UK companies preserve their liquidity during crisis, their signaling and the communication strategies to the market, etc. And now these perspectives are valued by my team and clients in Hong Kong here. And thirdly, a global perspective would take you to the right opportunities, even though it's at the other side of the world. Apart from information, as we mentioned, another free-flowing item is technology. Many examples in this field, and we raised a couple before. Another example is Unilever, a traditional UK brand, has joined forces with Alibaba Cloud for digital marketing of its products, riding on the booming China e-commerce market and then the market recovery in China. And Tencent just expanded with another game studio in California. But conscious what I said so far is more in a business context, to be more relevant to the audience here, like how to form a global perspective when you're still at university. I'm really grateful for our faculty's case competition resources. And then I have the honor to represent FBE in case competitions in US, Georgetown University, Allianz Global Investor case competitions, Deloitte, KPMG case competitions, to name a few. And these are really in an international business setting. And we have the chance to work with people from various major and background and compete with international teams. It's a great learning opportunity about different approaches, market intelligence, communication skills, working styles, as well as cultural differences. I highly recommend it. Thank you.
Very good, very good. So Louisa, talk about few advantages of having global perspective, even in this changed global economy. And he also gives some tips. Now, I want to move to Stephen. So Stephen, you want something to add on?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So I'm very fortunate to have the exchange experience during my time in Hong Kong U to exchange 1 semester with University of Southern California during year 3. So I've been able to meet a lot of friends there across the globe, understand their perspectives, as well as develop very valuable connections in the banking and the finance sector. So this is what I have a global perspective in my time in Hong Kong U. In relationship to my work in Goldman Sachs, so my team comprises of 30 individuals around the globe in Asia, EMEA, Switzerland, and United States. So having global perspective allows me to communicate efficiently across teams and understand the investments in specific context. For example, one news that I can share with you, it's probably on public right now, is that our firm actually initiated a rescue financing fund of 10 billion in size. So what does that mean in terms of having global perspective is I would understand certain middle-sized companies would not benefit from the US government stimulus package. So as an investor, I would think of the what opportunities there. Also, having a global perspective would allow me to understand that certain investors might have some worries in certain geographies and certain industries. Outside work, I think having a global perspective would mean that I evaluate different information from a multi-perspective. I would understand different power dynamics between countries, different drivers across politics, business, and financial markets. I think that we all need to absorb different information in order to make the right investment decision. So relating my experience of representing Hong Kong U to join the Harvard MUN when I was studying in Hong Kong U, I think this is a great opportunity that Hong Kong U offered me at my time of a study to have a global perspective and leadership experience. At that time, I got to speak on the issue on poverty and business development plans for emerging countries and met the president of Congo. So I think that having a global perspective not only allows you to succeed in work, not only succeed in investments, but also you can have a right information to make the right decision. Thanks.
Very good, Stephen. Thank you very much for sharing. Stephen mentioned the his experience, working experience, but also in his life experience, how to enrich yourself with a global perspective, trying to engage, interact with people from different backgrounds and learn from each other. So very good. Now I want to move to Natalia. You want to add your own experience?
Sure, I would totally like to echo what Stephen and Louisa have mentioned just now. And I would actually argue that global perspective has even become more important than pre-COVID-19. And perhaps I can share how my work routine has changed because of this pandemic. So in the past, since I'm now working at the credit department, there will be a lot of discussions with local bankers on how to attract more customers in utilizing our credit facilities, either by more attractive pricing or the wide array of products that we can lend against. But now, because of COVID-19, my daily and weekly routine would involve a lot of calls with my Singapore and London risk colleagues, and to discuss on how this credit proposal can help ensure that our clients can still be in a very comfortable leverage position, even in a market downturn or even in a massive sell-off like March. So to me, with my own US and Canada exchange experience, I believe that had equipped me to the global perspective, that it becomes easier for me to actually understand and communicate with people and colleagues across different cultural backgrounds. In addition, my second project in my rotation also include impact analysis on how the global pandemic affects the real estate market across APAC and how this will affect our company's lending book against properties. So to me, with my own Shanghai internship experience for 2 months in 2018, as well as my study program in Peking University, I got a more comprehensive understanding of China and APAC in general. And I think this will help me to build gaining a more comprehensive picture on how a global crisis can affect the economy, as the economy has surely become more interconnected.
Very good, thank you. So this is a very good point about how to work well with people from different culture, different groups, and also how the different experiences in the past also can help you to do much better job. And currently, when you're looking at the whole, you have to look at the different regions, different economy, different trends, where all these things you learned, you experienced during college actually was very valuable for your current work. Very good. Now, lastly, I want to turn to Rachel. The first, both Louisa, Stephen, and Natalie, they are from global banks. So global perspective, in some extent, it's almost like a must, right? If I interpret it, because if you can't work with, if you don't have a global perspective, you can't work with people, your colleagues from everywhere around the globe. You probably will not be able to work in those multinational banks, investment banks, commercial banks, whatever you do in the big financial institutions. But Rachel is working in Tencent. It's also international, but it doesn't necessarily have the kind of global features those international banks have. So Rachel, what's your experience?
So let's say in this way. So I do agree that actually COVID-19 really makes all the companies to recognize that the importance of diversifying their risks, and also they really accelerate the development of technology products to further expand to international market, because they need to meet the needs of companies in mainland to maintain the communication with their like parts or branches in other countries. And as I work frequently with Shenzhen team, I feel like there will be a separation of role in our team. So like for Shenzhen colleagues, they have more understanding of the mainland market. They really know about their lifestyle, their habits and products. But they have, like comparing to Hong Kong colleagues, they will have less knowledge on the international development and how the other markets are dealing with the same product, or how are the other customers like reacting to it. So from our part, I think that global perspective really makes you outshine in your team. Like you can make certain contributions to your team by talking about your experience in other countries, or your understanding about like Hong Kong markets and other international market, or even Western markets. So I think that my experience involving in the case competition in Singapore really, and also my internship experience in mainland China, makes me have a mix of both like Southeast Asia understanding, also mainland understanding. It makes me really in the team that I can make some new insights to them, can contribute more to them. Yeah.
Very good. So Richard, you are you have an interesting experience. You're from Malaysia, and then you studied in Hong Kong U. Now you're working in Tencent. Do you feel this global perspective? So we all said that this is still very important, no matter where you were working in a multinational financial institution or company, or you know, some companies are more local. But do you feel that coming to let me put it in a different way. Do you feel it's at very beginning, this is some like difficult transition to do in terms of you know, coming here to Hong Kong U and then working in Tencent? Do you feel a huge challenge on the road, obstacles to overcome, or you feel this process, your own journey to this point, is actually pretty smooth?
I think that the first thing people think about, like from Malaysia coming to Hong Kong and to mainland, like this trip journey will be, the first obstacle will be a language barrier. But like fortunately, I used to talk Cantonese with my grandparents. So coming to Hong Kong speaking Cantonese, I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with it. And at the same time in Malaysia, I used to study Mandarin. That's why I can also communicate well with my colleagues at mainland. And another thing I think like will be another difference, I would say, not obstacles, but difference will be the working lifestyle. Yeah, the working style will be, I think like in Hong Kong, we will be used to be more like emphasis on work-life balance. We think that we need to finish our work at this time, and we have other like our own personal like networking or other events and all this stuff. But in mainland, I think because they really work hard to reach to, like they really work hard to get into Tencent, and actually to them, their family will be in far away from Shenzhen. So they will put more weight on working part. They will literally work 24 hours. So sometimes I even get messages from my colleagues at Shenzhen like at 11 p.m. Yeah, they didn't expect you to have a reply quickly, but just like they work in this way. So yeah, so I think at my first 1 or 2 months, I really need to get some time to adapt to this kind of working style. Yeah, but after that, we think that it's also something that you should learn from them, like how they really have the responsibility on the part they are working on, and how they really react quickly to whatever you're asking about for. Yeah.
So now you're used to this. Now you're used to receiving messages 11 o'clock in the evening. But this is a very good story. You know, the transition from one step to another, and then there are things that you need to get used to it at least. Just to let you know that in Hong Kong, there are people getting messages or sending messages 11 p.m. as well. Lots of some of my colleagues or you know, myself sending emails pretty late sometimes, but we don't expect, you know, response 12 midnight every time. So but it's a very interesting story to from your experience, you know, how to move from Malaysia, Hong Kong, and then now working in Tencent. Overall, it sounds like the whole sort of process or journey, it's, you know, looking like pretty big step, but actually quite smooth each step. And so very good. So thank you very much for sharing on this topic. So we're thinking about whether global perspective is more or less important in a new environment where anti-globalization becomes more active. And all of us share the same conviction that global perspective may be even more important in this new environments. To summarize some of what you said, I think the background is that globalization, as all of you doing, and then even including some in many of the people who not necessarily working in the kind of industry you are, but still will feel the same way, which is even though globalization faces a lot of challenges, but we're not going back to 500 years ago, where each economy is isolated island, right? The global economy is still very interconnected and will still be very interconnected. And in some sense, it's already not separable. So it probably needs to some serious changes. It probably will go through a lot of restructuring and changes. But the fact that we're interconnected, this part will not change in the short run. So therefore there's a need in order for you as a leader or as to be successful in any kind of business role of business leaders, you still need to know how to work well in this interconnected world, right? So the many of you talk about your colleagues are multinational from everywhere, from very different cultural background, and then your clients are very different, your investors, and then in many other industries you have the supply chains, upstream, downstream, and these all come from different parts of the world, right? If you look at any cell phone, for example, it's still produced, all the parts are still produced in a dozen or more, or even hundreds countries, different places, and finally assembled in certain place and sold to the global market. This is not going to change in the very short run. And the other thing is that, given that the global economy is still very interconnected, we have to work with each other. And also many of you also mentioned that it's also having the global perspective allows us to learn from each other, to learn from people from different culture, different backgrounds, from different markets. And that helps us to grow, to become more effective. So that's another common theme coming from your sharing. And many of you also point out that there are many opportunities you can have as young students at Hong Kong U or in your own life to be proactively develop that kind of global perspective. You mentioned the case competition, you mentioned internship, you mentioned exchanges, and then working with different people, learning, sharing with different people. Hong Kong U, I think it's a great university, and internationalization is part of our gene. We have so many people from different backgrounds, even on campus, faculty, staff, and especially students. We have people from Hong Kong, from mainland, from international, and this is already an international learning environment. So students should, like you guys, try to proactively take advantage of this international learning environments and then try to develop global perspective. One of the things that all of you mentioned, and many of you mentioned, is that one first step is develop language capacity to communicate with people. I'm very impressed, among our panelists, no matter they're, originally from Hong Kong or from mainland or from foreign countries, they can all speak almost perfect Cantonese except me. So this is something I need to catch up. But this is the part of to be adaptive, part of this to be to developing the global perspective. So very good. So we are moving to the next step. We'll very quickly, we want to ask each of you, given the new environments we are facing, given the changes, so many changes in the business world, obviously our students, especially the students, the current Hong Kong U students, current students studying at BE, probably a little anxious about the job market. Jimmy today also, from his experience, he's been doing helping lots of the graduates to find suitable jobs and then to launch their careers. And Jimmy also mentioned that there are lots of challenges in the labor market nowadays. So I want to go very quickly to you. Do you have any tip for the students in college now, and then especially for the students that are just about to graduate, facing, anticipating, and then facing this new business world? So let's start with so Rachel. Any quick tip for the students, current college students?
Oh, so from my part, I would think that as a non-local, I would just suggest everyone to do not afraid to step off your comfort zone, because my experience in case competition, also in other extracurricular activities, is because I don't feel like, because I think some of my friends will feel like, oh, it's a thing of local, and as a non-local, so I shouldn't involve in it and all those stuff. But I think that actually involving in something like step off comfort zone, involving in something that is strange to you, will really help you to have some new insights and have some new experience with them. Yeah, so that would be my advice to all juniors. Yeah.
Excellent. Step out of the comfort zone, and then try to, as international students, try to get settled in the environments, try to proactively take advantage of the environments. Very good, Natalia.
Sure, I would totally agree with what Rachel has mentioned just now. And I would say I would like to stress on how important to leverage on the HKU resources that we actually have. And I would also like to stress on perhaps the engagement in community service, as I believe a true leader should be a person who shows empathy towards his or her followers, and to have a great sense of responsibility in contributing to the betterment of society. So for me, last year I led a community service trip for 2 weeks in Mexico, and we performed a lot of earthquake relief work, as in Mexico there was a massive earthquake in 2017. We also organized cultural activities for underprivileged kids there. So that was, to me, a very memorable experience, because not only did I get the chance to lead students across different backgrounds, but it also have strengthened my problem-solving skills because of the huge language barrier there. So Mexicans speak Spanish and we speak, English or Cantonese. So we have to find a lot of other ways to present what we want to express. So I believe ultimately going back to job context, so many interviewers at work will not only want to test your technical knowledge as it can be enhanced or trained, but they will also like to know whether you have the social awareness, the responsibility, because it's closely linked to your future work performance. So my quick tip is to utilize the HKU resources, looking through, mass emails, or simply looking at, all the posters at KK Leung Building and grab all the amazing opportunities.
Very good, thank you. And I'm very glad you brought up this term, empathy. I think this is something extremely important. We didn't have time to discuss in detail about this, but this is obviously something very important in the new world we're in, where things are changing so fast and many people are left behind. So as successful leaders, empathy is very, very critical. And thank you for bringing this up. Now let me move to Jimmy. Any tip for our college graduates?
I think for our current students, you must remember that building connections is one big important factor, even when you find jobs, because you might not know that actually quite a lot of jobs rely on referrals, and it's really important for you to build a big network to know all the news and be referred to others. So one way to build your connection is must be living in a residential hall. I myself have lived with St. John's community for 10 years, and it's really important for you to have fun in a residential hall, but at the same time, living in a hall, it means that a lot of people, alumni, and they all have different ideas. When you have different ideas, you need to learn how to compromise, and also you can build empathy when there are conflicting ideas, and you need to know how to compromise and how to understand others' viewpoints. Also, because in St. John's, half of our students are actually international students, it is really helpful for us to learn about a global perspective and realize there are actually a lot of cultural differences when we live with other people from different countries. So I would highly recommend, if you're, we also accept current students applying to St. John's, just apply now in our website.
Very good, thank you. Is the in your background, is this St. John's?
Yeah, I also lived in St. John's when I was undergraduate.
But the background seems interesting. Is that, are you in a basement or what? There are all sorts of things that, you know, on the ceiling. What is that?
Oh, no. I mean, this is my office. This is my own office.
Okay. Setting. Thank you very much. So Jimmy emphasized the ability to network, proactively reaching out to people, build, you know, be active in the community, and then also the college hall will be a nice resource. Very good. So lastly, I want to come to Stephen. Stephen, you have anything else to add?
Sure. Just a quick tip for everyone. I think that what helps me also is that it's asking for help. I think that it's the easiest way to build a connection with somebody you doesn't know or somebody who could be a value add to you. So there is a book that I read saying like the quickest way of building relationship is actually asking for help. So people will start to help you and they would want to maintain that impression of being helpful, and they'll help you more. So I think that appropriately asking for help is a very good quality that you might want to help you succeed in work or outside work.
Very good, thank you. Stephen says asking help is actually one way to build a connection and then reach out to people. And this is how we actually reach out to these alums, these 5 outstanding alums for this forum. We thought that their experience will be very valuable for us to have an interesting discussion. And it turns out that this is obviously a very right decision. So thank you all very much for this sharing. Now we're gonna have a little time, not much, a couple minutes for possible Q&A. So we're just gonna have one question, and then want to see some of our speaker can quickly share with us. So basically, the one quite common question is the job market is getting more competitive in this environment. What can I do as a fresh graduate? So this is, we already talked about quite a few things that we, the advice suggestions you guys give to college students. Now this is to fresh graduates. Let's say I'm about to looking for jobs or already been looking for a job for quite a while, but haven't had any success. Any quick tip? So maybe Jimmy, you've been working on this. You can quickly tell us.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
I think you really have to face the challenge of artificial intelligence because, you know, some of the well-paid jobs will be a history. We might thought that being doctors or dentists would be, you know, irreplaceable by robots, but actually, you know, robots have already can, you know, be more precise in doing surgeons and delivering surgeries. So, you know, it would increase the efficiency of some doctors, and, you know, they might not need that much human doctors in future. So when you have identified your target in some of the industries, you must learn the impacts of artificial intelligence in at least 5 years so that you can be prepared and not being replaced by robots.
Good. So now let me move to Natalia. Do you have anything to, any tip, quick tip?
Sure, I definitely echo what Jimmy has mentioned just now. And I think it's important to stay proactive and open-minded. Even the job market is going to be really tough, especially this year. And I think it's important to also equip ourselves as graduates that could be value-adding with the skill set that could be value-adding to your dream employer. Say in the banking industry, I have discovered that financial modeling as well as coding skills have become more important. So I guess if there's going to be spare time for graduates, they can try different online classes or courses that offer related knowledge. So this not only help boosting the CV ultimately, but it also shows to your future employer your thirst and passion for knowledge, which would be value adding to the future company that you are applying.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank all of you for this very interesting discussion. And our time is running up. Let me quickly summarize what we've been discussed. In business, we often say that change is constant, but that's obviously not enough for our time. Fast changing, major changes, big shifts are happening all the time. So in this fast changing business world, what will future leaders, what will future leadership skills require? So that's the topic we've been discussed. Some of the key insights from all of you is that the new leadership in this new time emphasizes more on lifetime learning, emphasizes more on adaptive, emphasizes on more team building, networking, working with each other, collaborative skills, and also emphasize on entrepreneurship spirits. We have to find new solutions creatively for new challenges. And then we also discussed in this changed global economy, where anti-globalization seems to become more active. Global perspective is even more important for business leaders to succeed in this new time, because the globalization, the global economy is still very much interconnected, and we still need to work with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and we still can learn from each other. And this new environment with all the new changes just make global perspective even more important. And then you guys all shared a lot of insights about how to deal with these challenges and how to take advantage of resources at Hong Kong U to help students to build, develop their global perspective, and then develop the necessary leadership skills that may allow them to be successful in their future career. So this is a very insightful, very inspiring discussion from all of you. I want to thank all of you for your time and for your insights. Also to the students that's been watching this, to everyone been watching this, thank you very much for staying with us. See you next time. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.